Welcome to Workout Wednesday for Power BI 2024, week 18. So I'll go over the Deneb visual first. The way to get the animals into the page is simply to use a background image. And I gave you the link to that image in GitHub, so you can just download it. And put it in your page. We're going to set that to fit. And we need to change our page size. We're going to do letter. And I will go ahead and paste my text box in for the bottom and the top. The title is also just a text box. I just highlighted different lines and made them certain text colors and font sizes. So that one's 60, 60, 44. And then I just placed it such that the end of the last word aligns with the line in the background image. Then we need to get our Deneb visual. And place it on the page. And we'll go ahead and turn our background off. And let's go get our data. So this came from data.world. There's only one table. I just made my column names a little prettier, made the first letter uppercase, made sure there's no underscores. And then I needed to create a combined label that shows the animal with their lifespan. So add a custom column. And we'll call that animal label. Oops. There we go. Capitalize the first letter. And then I needed these animals to show up in the correct order so that I could get them placed in my scatter chart correctly. So that is also an additional column. And you can do this in a conditional column, or you can just write your own if statement. Either way. So I called this reverse row. And you'll see why in a bit. But basically, we need to place the dots in the correct row, because right now there's no concept of a row. So we need weasel and hedgehog together, wolverine, tiger, brown bear, tapir together, all that. Let's get our type. That's our data set. Okay, 2 measures. Make this prettier. The first one is going to be just the circle size. So in our scatter plot, in order to match the magnitude of the animal image, I just figured out it needed to be multiplied by 25. That's not a magic number. You just pick the number that looks best there, basically. And then the animal order uses the rank windowing function. So take a look at this. So we dense ranked, all selected. We're ordering by the animal ID, partitioning by the row column, the column named row that we made. And then we do, if the animal ID is 1, then we're going to change this value to 3. If it's 2, then it's 4. If it's 12, if it's 3. Otherwise, just go in the what we're calling raw order, which is what we ranked. And you'll see where we use that later. So that is our measure. Now we can drag things into our values here. So we have animal label, animal order, reverse row, and lifespan circle size. I'm just making these the same as the Deneb that you have in the solution file. And now I can edit. Vega Light. And I'll walk you through what this is doing. So you can see how it renders our scatter chart. I had to do one calculate transform in here, and that was just to get the animal and the lifespan on two separate rows. I can't do that in Power Query. And I believe I tried it in DAX, but then Deneb didn't respect the new lines, so this was my way to do it. So because I had a comma in there, I could split it and it automatically put it on separate lines. So that's what this calculate is. It's just split, and then we refer to the column using datum, and we say what we're using to split by. So that's called point label. Then I created a layer, and I use a circle mark. That's how we make scatter plots in Deneb. There's a circle mark. Told it what color. I told it to be fully opaque, and then told it what color to fill it. And then when it comes to the encoding, our horizontal axis is where we use animal order. So if we look through here, remember animal order is that measure that we just made with the rank in it. And so that's quantitative field. I didn't want any axis labels or anything. And then I told it this domain to help it basically with sizing. So then on the Y vertical axis, I'm using reverse row. And again, I told it to do this to make sure that I had good alignment within my page. There's nothing special about using 0.5 other than I wanted it to be a certain amount of space from the bottom and a certain amount of space from the top, and I didn't want things being at the very edge of the visual, so that's why I have these domains set. Nothing goes past 4 in the values here, and nothing goes below 1, but this was just to make it spread out correctly. And you really, the only way I know how to get to that is through trial and error. So we got our animal order, our reverse row, the size, meaning the size of the circles. We use the lifespan circle size measure, which is quantitative. We didn't want a legend. And then I just told it the max range in my scale. And again, this is all working to make sure that the circle size here fits in the right spot once we put it on top of the background. Then we get our mark for text. That's all these labels here. And so the negative Y offset means it would have been where the circle is, and then I offset it by a certain amount. Set my font size, font weight. I wanted it bold so I could match the original image. Color, which is a little darker than our circles. And then in the encoding here, we do, this is again for the text mark, we do the animal order, and we do a scale with domain max equals 5. We do reverse row. Again, no titles or anything, no grids, because we don't want any of those in our visual. Domain max 5 there. Point label, this is the actual value of our text mark, again, is the calculate transform that we did up here, where we made it into 2 lines from 1. And so it's a nominal thing. And so I made it the size of the page, and that's how I could go in and adjust all those mins and maxes and domains and offsets. Was I put the background image in first and then just adjusted those values in Deneb until I got it to a place that I liked. And it takes a little bit, and sometimes it's not. Let's see. It's not exactly perfect. I think I actually went a little above that. Yep, to make sure. My goal was make sure all the text is not overlapping an image, but all the circles are really close to their respective image. So that is the Deneb solution. I did it a little differently for the enhanced scatter. But we will start by setting up our page. I made a beige-ish background. And then again, we're going to do the letter sizing. There we go. Put our surrounding images in there. And then this one works just a little differently. We need to go get, so here's our enhanced scatter. We're adding that. And then we can place that on the page. And we'll throw animal label in our details, animal order in the x-axis, reverse row in the y-axis, and I'm going to take this average lifespan and make it a max. That's the only fields you have to fill in. And then I actually put it up a little bit, which you'll see once we adjust how that works. $8.15 is good. Padding all around is fine. We did not use a title. So now we can go to effects and turn off our background. Turn off our header icons. While we're here, let's throw some alt text in there. And now we need to adjust the visual parts. Before we do that, turn off our titles. The one thing I did here was I made it start at 0.25 and end at 5. Again, this is to adjust the spacing. And then let's turn that back on for a second. This one's going to be 0. And 4.5. So that gets us to where we need our placement. I made this darker. I made my font size 14. And then I gave you a link to a different background for the scatter plot. And then to make it orange, we do data colors. Now we can turn off our axes. And our title. And then fix our layering. So I called this a better name. And now we reorder. So it's going to go wow, title, bottom. And same thing with tab order. We probably want to go wow, title, and then chart, and then bottom. And then the layer ordering is the last thing to fix. Thanks so much for watching this solution video. Hope you found it helpful.